So The Last of Us Remastered has been out now for a couple of days, and I've honestly been waiting for this to come out for so long now. On my main i5 12500 and RX 6750 XT gaming PC, it not only looks visually stunning but runs buttery smooth as well. But what if you don't have these what are considered mid-range specs in 2023? What if you had the minimum requirements? Will it even run? So I've put together this, and that's exactly what we're going to find out. My name's Andy, and this is Andy's Tech. And yes, that's right, it's been a while, but I've put together another minimum requirements build, and it doesn't look too shabby. Now, I've not gone out here, but before we get into the system I've put together, what exactly are the requirements you're going to need to play this AAA PlayStation port? Now, there has been some flack here with, let's face it, some quite beefy specs quoted to get the best out of this game. And yes, that is a 4080 you're seeing here. I can't afford one of those, and 99% of England is currently broke, so I'm assuming you can't also. But what if we lower the bar? Well, bars. What do we actually need? As stated by the developer, The Last of Us Part 1 for PC minimum requirements to play the game on low graphic settings at 720p 30fps are: in the GPU department, we need an AMD Radeon RX 470 or a Radeon RX 6500 XT, an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970 or an NVIDIA 1050 Ti. Okay, so that's not too bad. CPU wise, they're stating we need a Ryzen 5 1500X or Intel Core i7 4770K, 16GB of RAM, Windows 10 64-bit, and 100GB of SSD storage. Ouch, that's quite a tall order for 720p 30fps. So the gauntlet has been thrown, and this is what I've come up with. I've gone for Team Green today with an Asus GTX 970 4GB. This is a blower style model that I recently picked up on eBay. I'm going to be doing a separate review on this card, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. The 970 is probably a better bet here over the 1050 Ti, I think, as it will give us some well needed extra power. In the CPU department, I don't actually have a Ryzen 1500X or an i7 4770K, so I've gone for the next best thing, which is an i7 4790. It's still a 4-core 8-threaded Haswell CPU with roughly the same specs, non-overclocked, and will perform nearly identically to the i7 4770K. There's 16GB of DDR3 running in dual channel at 1600 MHz. What more can I say there? The game's on my 500GB Silicon Power SATA SSD, and it's all powered by a 550W Asus TUF Gaming PSU. Case-wise, I've gone for the Montech Air 100, which is a budget M80X case with a nice front mesh panel, and it's got great airflow as well. So that's the build, and not a complete potato in my opinion. I'd still class this as a solid budget gaming PC, but I think it's about to be made into potato, shall we say, but maybe not. Let's jump into the game and find out. So here we are in the menu, and we'll just go through the specs quick of what it's defaulted to. I'm going to be running with what the game has just suggested by default, which is 1080p. I'm assuming it's put FSR on. We'll leave VSync on, it's not going to get over 60 FPS. Yeah, FSR 2 using the quality preset, which renders the game at a resolution of 1280 by 720p. We'll just go to the graphical settings now, and yeah, it's defaulted everything to low, so we'll just stick with that for now. Maybe we'll get an opportunity to turn a couple of the options up, but I don't think we will. I think we're going to be stuck at low today. So yeah, let's jump. We'll start a new game and let's jump straight in. So here we are at the first sort of opening scenes of the game, and it's not doing too well. Our little GTX 970 seems to be the limiting factor here. I mean, we're getting sort of mid-20s to the low 20s FPS wise. I mean, and that's not really good. I expected it to achieve at least 30 FPS. So let's jump into the menu quick. If we jump into the menu, and just see if we can change that FSR quality, but I expected it to perform a little better than that. If we change FSR to balanced and apply changes, and just see if that's made any improvement. No, it hasn't made any improvement. We're still getting, we're getting a little bit more there, about 27 FPS. I mean, this is on the lowest settings. We can't really make this go any lower. We could lower the FSR again, but then it's just going to start to look really bad. Oh, we've got 31 FPS now looking at this phone. So I'm gonna play through a little bit more of the game and see if things improve slightly as we get further into the title. So we're a little bit further along in the game now. We've passed the sort of opening scenes. We're in the sort of first sort of town scene. Things have improved slightly. We're getting sort of over 30 now, just about. There are drops below 30 at some points. It's even hitting mid 30s. Sometimes see us drop there below now, 28. It looks really muddy. Like the textures are pretty terrible at this resolution and these settings. And obviously we're using FSR at balanced, so I think we're rendering it like 500p or 600p maybe. And it's kind of all over the place. I mean, you can see in the percentiles there's drops down to like 3 FPS in the 1% lows. We'll just follow Tommy up this alley. But I mean, I guess they did say 720p 30 FPS for the minimum settings. We're in the sort of alleyway now. We're getting a little bit higher. I mean, here we go. Look, we've got one of these infected, and it's tanked to the sort of 20s. I'm not very impressed by this. I thought it would be doing a little bit better. So I'm going to carry on and play through a bit more of the game. I might also try and overclock the 970 a little bit, just see if that helps. And I'll come back in a second. So we're a little bit further along in the game now. I have actually dropped the resolution down to 720p now. The game defaulted to 1080p with FSR quality. So we're running at 720p with FSR quality enabled. And we have seen quite a little bit of improvement. We're now sort of getting about mid 30s. It's sometimes even hitting 40 at the moment. And the 1% have improved a little bit as well. I say a little bit. I'm trying to make the best out of a bad situation here. I mean, at 720p, it sort of almost looks like it did on the PlayStation 3 when it first come out. I'm not really sure what kind of progress has been made there, if any. I do know that the PlayStation 3's graphics were a lot worse than the system we're running with today. I mean, the system we have today is sort of a good little basic budget system, I would say, in 2023. Certainly a capable little esports machine. But the GTX 970 is just struggling here, and it's clearly the limiting factor. The little i7 seems to be keeping up quite well. We also have enough RAM. Oh, let me just heal myself here. There we are, all healed. Oh look, we've got 57 there. Oh look, we're going to hit 60. We've hit 60 and we've hit 60 in the building. There we are, guys. 60 FPS on the minimum requirements. I'm sure that's going to drop as I turn this corner. Yeah, it's not great. It has improved slightly. We are getting more now. I mean, quite a lot of this game is played indoors, so maybe as the game progresses further, you will start to see more improvement. But I mean, 52, 53 FPS at 720p with FSR quality just isn't really good. We've also overclocked the GPU now as well, with 100 megahertz on the core, 250 megahertz on the memory. So this is the kind of best case scenario. So we're quite a bit further along in the game now. I'm a couple of hours in. We've had a few outside scenes, and we're just going into this first building, I think, with the clickers are in, and things have improved somewhat actually. I was quite surprised. It seems like the first A couple of chapters of the game are really demanding. It definitely struggles outside still, but we've definitely had an improvement here. I've gone with 900p in the end, with FSR set to quality and everything else on low, and we are achieving above 30 FPS average most of the time. Sometimes we even get into the 40s and 50s. So if you're patient and you want to play through the first few chapters, it does seem to get better. I mean, I can certainly play the game like this, and after the initial pain of starting the game where we were getting like 19 FPS, this actually isn't too bad, to be honest. I mean, it's not amazing. If you did want a sort of PS4 like experience frame rate wise, you could go for 1080p and cap the game to 30 FPS. This would also be more than playable in my opinion. Let me get my torch back on. There we are. So yeah, I am quite surprised by this. I would say that The Last of Us Part 1 for PC is playable on the minimum system requirements. You could certainly play through the game like this. It's not too bad of an experience. It's probably not recommended. I wouldn't go out and build a PC like I did today to specifically play this game. You will need a lot more power in the GPU department and the CPU department. But, you know, I'm quite impressed with our result here today. So that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this little PC I put together to play The Last of Us. I'm sorry if it was a bit of a major disappointment and you've got a system like this and you were thinking of purchasing the game. Personally, it's a 50-50. It just kind of depends what experience you're after here. So yeah, thank you for watching again. Please do all the usual YouTube things. I always love hearing what you guys have to say. Take care as always. God bless, and hopefully see you in the next one.